time to grow up, girls. Like fast. Like this is the player that got you off the airline that was bright yellow.
Colin Cowherd, a sports commentator, has never shied away from controversy. However, supporters are shocked, perplexed, and incensed by what he just said about Caitlin Clark. Cowherd revealed a side of Clark that few anticipated, and it is causing a huge response in a moment that is making headlines. His assertions were not only unexpected, they have overshadowed one of the fastest rising talents in basketball. Is this a media hit job gone too far, or is it the brutal reality that no one wanted to acknowledge? In any case, following this, Caitlin's reputation may never be the same. Colin Cowherd forecasts Caitlin Clark's future with Michael Jordan. Colin Cowherd made a strong and thought-provoking parallel between Michael Jordan's early NBA career and Caitlin Clark's present circumstances in the WNBA in a part of his program. His comments went beyond skill and numbers. They hinted to something more profound. The way violent vengeance is encouraged by supremacy on the court, and how Jordan and Clark were targeted right away after their unquestionable success. Michael Jordan did not take long to establish himself in the NBA. He was a scoring machine from the start of his rookie campaign, averaging an incredible 28 points per game. Everyone could see that the defenders were unable to keep up. His confidence was evident in every possession. His movements were unstoppable and his style was electrifying. However, things changed during his second year. Defenders saw they could not stop him lawfully, not because he slowed down. They thus increased their level of physical hostility. Jordan scored more than 28 points in 2 of the first 3 games in his sophomore campaign. Defenders just needed to see that they began to play him with brutal ferocity. Eventually, the physical strain had an adverse effect. Jordan missed 4 months of playing due to a severe foot injury. The Cowherd perceives Caitlin Clark as a mirror reflection of this. Similar to Jordan, Clark had a difficult time breaking into the professional ranks of basketball. She barged in. She averaged 19 points and 8 assists per game during her WNBA debut campaign. An amazing accomplishment for any novice. The league was astounded by her inventiveness, shooting ability, and court vision. She had earned a spot on the All-WNBA first team at the conclusion of the season. However, there has been a price for her rapid ascent to fame. In her second year, Clark is dealing with a degree of physical defense that verges on recklessness. Cowherd claims that in an attempt to restrict her, defenders are hurling themselves at her and playing rough, sometimes hazardous basketball. And worse, it seems like officials are ignoring the situation. The officiating has evolved. Cowherd said she was injured once again yesterday night. Many things that seem virtually improper are being ignored by officials. This lack of defense is starting to manifest as the season goes on. Clark has been smacked about a lot and is having trouble staying completely healthy. For Cowherd, it is a symbol of grandeur rather than weakness. The league still does not know how to effectively stop her. Physical punishment, similar to what Jordan endured in the 1980s, seems to be the last remaining alternative. Cowherd exclaimed, "Wow, nobody plays like that," in the first year. Michael Jordan had an injury in the second year. Caitlin Clark is also having problems in year 2. Why did MJ suffer an early injury? While they were trying to tackle him, no one knew how to stop him. Cowherd is not only exaggerating Clark's experience by drawing comparisons to Michael Jordan's. He is highlighting a more profound reality about athletic prowess. Opponents react scared when an athlete modifies the game, and that dread often manifests as unadulterated physicality. Like Michael Jordan, Caitlin Clark is seen as an issue that has to be solved rather than just as a player. Given how clearly stated the facts are, Cowherd's analogy seems to be accurate. How the carelessness impacted her, however, is yet unknown. Let us examine Caitlin's careless court experiences in more depth. The Jordan-Ike test of excellence for Caitlin Clark. Although Caitlin Clark is no stranger to pressure, this season has presented her with more challenges than anybody could have predicted. Clark, one of the WNBA's biggest players, is discovering the hard way that excellence often has a cost. And at the moment, it is her rhythm, her figure, and maybe her all-star look. Early in the 2026 WNBA season, they were already required to miss 5 games. During the Indiana Fever's recent victory against the Connecticut Sun, Clark seemed to have a devastating setback. Shortly after making a deft pass, she grasped her groin and hobbled over to the sidelines, her face contorted in agony and tears welling up in her eyes. It seemed to be emotional as much as physical. Her availability is suddenly unknown, even though the All-Star game is quickly approaching. Additionally, Clark has been subject to a barrage of rough play even when she is on the court. In almost every possession, opponents are shoving, banging, and bodying her. It is the type of physicality that verges on being over the top. However, officials' whistles have been annoyingly quiet. Not only is the absence of foul calls affecting her performance, but it is also physically and psychologically taxing her. A discernible shooting slump was the outcome. The weight of regular touch has dimmed her characteristic sharpness. All of this, however, demonstrates one thing. According to sports commentator Colin Cowherd, Caitlin Clark is already a formidable opponent. Similar to Michael Jordan during his second NBA season, Clark is so respected, almost intimidating, that opponents will stop at nothing to slow her down. Additionally, it is an obvious indication that players are changing the game when they begin to get that kind of attention early in their careers. Although audacious, the analogy to Jordan has some validity. After suffering a foot ailment, a youthful Michael Jordan scored an incredible 43.7 points per game on average during the 1986 playoffs. It was a historic performance that silenced naysayers and signaled the start of a dynasty. Clark is at a similar dilemma now. She has a definite purpose: overcome the hurt, the uncalled birds, the bruises, and the skeptics. Like Jordan, she will have to put in a lot of effort, rekindle her passion, and pull off a comeback that will define her legacy in addition to saving her season. It will not be simple. She must find a way to regain her flow and show everyone why she is the most talked about name in women's basketball while battling a persistent ailment under extreme pressure. Can she pull it off, though? The question hangs in the air like a buzzer beater. Clark may be able to, given her tenacity, spirit of competition, and basketball IQ. This season, she has already shown glimpses of greatness, motivating millions, spearheading quick breakaway, and dismantling top defenses. Even when her shots have failed, her leadership has not wavered, and her court vision is still unmatched. When faced with hardship, that type of inner strength endures. If anything, it becomes bigger. Nevertheless, the task at hand is difficult. The WNBA is observing. Critics are waiting to strike, and fans are hoping. She could need her own Jordan moment to quiet the cacophony. Injuries disappear into the background of her dominance after a run of games so overpowering that they dispel any concerns. Whether it is in the second part of the season or during a playoff run, Clark has to find a way to express her annoyance, take care of her body, and get back up with newfound vigor. Despite severe pressure and physical setbacks, Caitlin Clark has the skill and perseverance to overcome hardship and achieve success. Her epic ascension might be defined by what she does next. Caitlin's list of opponents who mistreat her has grown as she keeps breaking milestones. Let us examine her vulnerability in the courtroom in more depth. During the Indiana Fever's valiant victory against the Connecticut Sun, Caitlin Clark was singled out and left defenseless. Once again, Caitlin Clark was the focus of controversy, not because of her outstanding performance, but rather because of the treatment she received on the court. Chaos broke out at a dramatic moment during the third quarter. First, JCS Sheldon made a stinging and deadly slash across Clark's eye. Just a few seconds later, Marina Mabra sent her flying to the ground in what many spectators and commentators thought was an obvious infraction that may perhaps call for an expulsion. Surprisingly, Marina Mabra merely received a technical foul and continued to play. What is even more perplexing is that Clark received a technical for responding to a poke to the eye. This rekindled a long-running discussion over how the WNBA referees handle incidents involving Clark and caused fury on social media. The former collegiate sensation turned professional star Caitlin Clark has never requested preferential treatment. Her supporters are not calling for her to be protected from the physical aspects of the game or given special treatment. In actuality, Clark has continuously shown that she is more than capable of withstanding fierce competition and extreme physicality. She is tough, resilient, and intelligent. However, the mounting number of dubious plays involving her that are either underpunished or go unpunished is becoming harder to ignore. Plays that might easily result in flagrants or possibly ejections if the roles were switched or the player was not Clark. Additionally, this is not a unique incident. One of the most obvious instances of Clark being knocked off her feet in a move that resembled something from a wrestling ring more than a basketball game was Kennedy Carter's notorious hip check earlier in the season. There was also a lot of criticism at that time. However, the league's reaction was at best ambivalent. This is the main problem. Clark is not your typical rookie. In terms of her economic and cultural influence, as well as her points and assists, she is perhaps the most important player in the league. She has helped the WNBA achieve unparalleled fan involvement, sold-out venues, and record-breaking viewership. She seems to be getting the least amount of protection on the floor. However, defenders naturally pay more attention to Clark. That is a component of greatness. Naturally, competitive sports also naturally include physicality. However, there is a boundary between playing hard and playing carelessly. And in Clark's situation, that boundary has been broken far too often with little to no repercussions for the violators. The referees and league officials are also at fault. In addition to the players, the WNBA has often failed to handle these circumstances appropriately. These are more than simply unanswered calls. These are recurring mistakes that convey a concerning message. Physical hostility becomes commonplace when it is not dealt with. Furthermore, it calls into question consistency, fairness, and even safety when such hostility is directed against the league's most promising young player. Clark keeps becoming better in spite of everything. Despite the harsh play and dubious officiating, she had another outstanding effort against the Sun. She seems to handle these situations with the same poise that she employs while making three-pointers under duress. However, supporters, commentators, and even other athletes are starting to express a common worry. How much longer will this continue? Paradoxically, Clark's alleged preferential treatment has proven to be the complete reverse. She has been the victim of missed whistles and shrugged off fouls rather than having decisions fall in her favor. The WNBA has an obligation to maintain the integrity of the game in addition to protecting Clark, because the league as a whole will suffer if this tendency continues unchecked, not just one player. Due to her injuries, Caitlin has missed many games, which is detrimental to her. Let us discuss Caitlin's decision to leave the games. The departure of Caitlin Clark from the All-Star Games. The WNBA's top rookie and rising star, Caitlin Clark, recently broke terrible news to fans nationwide. Her team, the Indiana Fever, posted a statement on Instagram. The 23-year-old guard said that she will miss both the 2026 WNBA All-Star Game and the much-awaited three-point shootout. I regret to inform you that I will not be able to take part. Just hours after a concerning incident during Tuesday night's game against the Connecticut Sun, Clark said, "My body needs recuperation. I will still be at Gainbridge Fieldhouse cheering on everyone and supporting coach Sandy Brondello lead our team to victory." In the last minute of a closely fought game that saw the Fever win 85-77, Clark seemed to exacerbate a prior groin issue. After missing 5 games due to a left-sided groin issue, it was just her 4th game back. But this time, it seemed like she was having problems with her right side. Her injury occurred soon after she helped teammate Kelsey Mitchell make an easy layup with a nicely executed bounce pass. However, Clark was spotted hobbling as the action progressed, her hand clutching the inner of her right leg. She moved slowly along the court, seemingly in agony, and then dropped her head onto the cushioned basket support. Later, she tried to hide her emotions from the audience by sitting on the bench with a towel over her head. Stephanie White, the head coach of the Fever, said she just felt a little something in her groin at a news conference after the game. After evaluating her, we will proceed. Caitlin Clark is not merely a gifted athlete. She is an inspiration to the younger generation, a cultural phenomenon, and a representative of women's athletics. Her ascent from a small-town Iowa child to a national legend demonstrates that greatness is achievable with dedication, tenacity, and unparalleled talent. The greatest thing is that she has only just begun her trip. Do you believe that Michael Jordan's tests and those of Caitlin Clark are really comparable? Please share your thoughts in the comments section. Subscribe and enable all notifications so you don't miss anything. We'll see you in the next one after you click the video on the screen.